It wheelies easy. Dude, it'll go up really quick. So cool. It's so twitchy but so cool. Very easy to wheelie these bikes, by the way. It is not a street legal. Yeah, really cool, man. Oh my god, that's awesome.
It's fun, right?
Beyond. It's very twitchy.
Yeah, man. So
this thing is cool.
So this is a 450, weighs about 240, 250 pounds. They make about the same power as the 690 does, but the 690 has a higher top speed. The way I have it geared right now is I have a bigger sprocket on the rear. I think it goes 98 before you're redlining at 5th gear, 5-speed transmission. So before you're redlining, about 98, maybe just over 100 miles an hour. Versus a 690 will have a 6-speed and like more cruising gear, so you can cruise on the highway at 70 mile an hour very easily on a 690. Supermotos are fun. Don't get me wrong, they're a great time, but you can't really compare this to a 690 because, like I said, they're completely different bikes. They look similar. Fun factor's still there for both.
This is tubeless too, right? The tires?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Same thing with the 690 too. They are tubeless.
This thing is so epic.
Yeah, this thing was made, and the way I ride it too, it is like the way you rode it is probably the easiest it's ever been rode in its life. Because it's only ever been ridden on track, and it's always just full throttle, just beating the crap out of it.
It is really lightweight, man. It is not that different from the KLX, to be honest. It's very light. Too freaking cool, man. Jesus Christ, man. I feel like you can't have enough bikes. There's an application for everything, like something very specific.
Yeah. Track applications, riding a slow bike fast is leaps and bounds more beneficial to your learning, to your safety, and to the fun factor, in my opinion, than 1,000.
This thing is freaking savage, man. It's so cool. So freaking cool. And it has a lot of stopping power too with that Brembo caliper in the front. Jesus. Did you set it up purposely like that to be snatchy where you have to pull the whole clutch in, or?
I mean, like the only time I'm ever using the clutch is you know, when you're starting and stopping, you know.
Oh, because you just use the quick shifter at that point,
I do use it to downshift, but I don't pull it in all the way. It's got a crazy slipper clutch in there. Like in some of these turns, it's like from 5th gear all the way down to 2nd. I'm just like click, 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 and then I just let the clutch out. And the slipper clutch just deals with it.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Chatter or anything from the rear wheel, like you can go be top speed and put it in 1st gear.
And the slipper clutch will take care of it. Yeah. Jesus. Dude, if I did that on a Monster, the rear will lock. Yeah. 100%. I mean, it has a slipper clutch too, but if it's extremely aggressive, it will lock it.
Yeah.
It's way easier to get it up compared to the KLX. Like on 2nd gear, yeah.
Yeah, the power helps for sure.
Yeah, like I was saying yesterday, I think a little more power is a little easier to do wheelies because you can get used to that front end coming up, and then once you get used to the front end up and everything, that's when I think you should like hone your craft with the smaller bikes. They're harder to get the front end up.
So you think I should practice with the Hyper instead?
Hyper, I practiced, or I learned on a speed triple. So maybe the Hyper, maybe you get a 690, try one of those. You know, something that's a little easy to get the front end up, and then once you start to get comfortable with that, you can kind of like hone your craft with the fundamentals of wheelies, say with like a Grom, KLX, etc., like the smaller bikes.
Thing is, I wanted to get rid of the risk factor in the beginning, just to get the feel of the inertia. Like for example, I got on your bike, I didn't go all the way up or anything. I just wanted to see how far quickly clutch it up. Went up really quickly, and I brought it down with the rear brake. But in the beginning, it was more like the fear, like, oh my God, something's bad's gonna happen, kind of thing. But then with the KLX, it kind of helped me get rid of that.
You know, as long any bike you're riding, you can put the Super Duke, the RSV4 with no wheelie control. You can wheelie anything as long as you're, you know, as long as you're tame, you respect the bike, and you're tame with the throttle. I mean, you can wheelie anything, if I'm honest.
Well, you know, the thing is, I want to do it in a control manner, because I know people like you crack the throttle open, like wide open, it'll go up and stuff like that. I want it to be like control on command. If I don't like what's happening, I'll just bring it down. I think I've seen so many people does it all the time the other way, and I'm like, that's not what I want to do.
Yeah, that's good though. I mean, like, you know, playing it safe. Like, I mean, that's why I got this bike, not for wheelies per se, but like I'm in a track environment in a smaller track doing lower speeds. So the risk factor is much, much lower for injuries. It's also cheaper. I crash it, same thing with KLX and wheelies. So, I mean, I got this bike with the same intention that you got the KLX, except for track purposes. You know what I mean?
But it is really nice, man. Really, this thing is like beautiful.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
That is so cool, man.
It's a little snatchier than normal too, because I got that throttle kit. The turn is a lot less to get to 100% throttle.
That's so freaking cool, man.
25 hours? She getting old.
How much is it though to buy one of those?
I paid like $12,300 out the door.
The 690 though, I think it's like 11,000.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't do anything to it really. That's the whole point, because a lot of people like get a WR and then you could get Supermoto wheels. I'm like, I'd rather spend the money, just get the bike as is with everything, and I don't want to have problems with like cops like, oh, you know, you didn't, you know, it's not a licensed bike, now they got to take your bike and all this nonsense. So
yeah, I mean so before I got this, I wanted to get something like Peter did, KTM 500 EXCF, which is a through and through enduro bike, do my own conversion. But I decided to do this instead because it comes, like you said, Supermoto ready from the factory, ready to go. Now, of course, it's not a street bike, but like we were talking about earlier, I don't really do much street riding anymore. So that if I were to get something like what Peter got, it would spend most of its life on track anyway. So I was like, you know what? I'll just get the race ready or the Supermoto ready bike. So, and it's nice because there's no conversion, no suspension, no brakes you have to do. Same thing with the 690. It's ready to go from the factory as is to go play around. So there's no modding or anything crazy you have to do.
The thing is sweet, man. I love the fact that you have that grab rail too to quickly, easy grab it. The KLX has a little divot. You could do that, but it pops out all the time.
Yeah, that grab handle, it is aftermarket, but I think it's a must. Because I mean, it doesn't have a kickstand, so you always have to put it on at the track, you put it on that center stand, and you run warmers because these are slicks. So you're always picking it up all the time after sessions. I say I leave it in the garage on the stand all the time. Like it rarely sits on this triangle stand.
No, these are beefy, man. Nice. These are too cool. Oh, this has sliders beneath them, right?
So those are Supermoto specific pegs. These bikes come stock with the motocross pegs. These are a little bit higher and smaller.
Oh, I love that. The rear brake is a lot larger too, because for reaching.
Yeah, I also did that too. I did a bigger pedal for the rear brake there.
Did you get the suspension dialed in, or?
It was dialed in, but like I said, the rear shock's leaking right now. That's why I'm taking it to the shop today. I'm gonna get it fixed.
Damn, this thing is cool, man. Shit.
But I would say for your purposes, for moto vlogging, cruising around town, maybe some wheelie practice, I think a 690 would be pretty fun.
Okay, so let's say if you have a choice, 690 or the 701. I know they're the same bike, just different branding.
Well, I got I wanted the SMR because I already got the Super Duke. Might as well keep the KTM in the family. At that point, it just comes down to aesthetics. You know, because the plastics look a little bit different than each other. So it just comes down to like, you know, what do you like better? You know, what looks cooler to you? Because they're the same exact bike.
That's a win right there, dude. That's freaking cool.